Hi everyone. This is group 12, and we are here to share our demo for lab 9. Yeah. This is Harsh and I'm Bhargav, and we'll be presenting the demo.
So in this lab, we uh, we do four things. So instead of just using PDF and API and hoping for the best to build a chatbot, we build a complete RAG pipeline. So in this lab, we did three versions of this. First one was using Hugging Face hosted GPT. Second was Llama via Grok. And third is a local model that we run without using API keys. So I'll explain the pipeline before showing the three models. So the first step was PDF extraction. We used PyPDF2 uh, to iterate each and every page of whatever the PDF is like uploaded by the user, and it pulls out raw text. Second step is chunking, where we divide the huge PDF into like multiple chunks. For example, a 200-page textbook, which would be too long to put into a model. So we used LangChain's character text splitter for this to break into chunks, which was about like 500 characters, and there was a 100-character overlap between the chunks. So the overlap is important because we don't want to accidentally cut a sentence in half and lose its context. And the third step was embeddings in vector storage, where we take each chunk and convert into a numerical vector. Um, so in this, we using a Hugging Face model called All Mini LM L6 V2, which is free and runs locally on your computer. Then we store the vectors in a FAISS index, which is a Facebook library for fast similarity search. And the last step is RAG, which is retrieval and generation. So when a user asks a question, we embed that question and find top four most similar chunks in the FAIS index and inject them as context into prompt and send it to the language model to generate an answer. So the first model Bhargav explained, which is the ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, also adding to the FISS thing is FISS is known for ranking the similarity. So it's more than an inverted index, and that's why we prefer that because it embeds the query and it embeds the document differently. And basically uses two neural nets, like one's for the query, one's for the document. And the documents they are embedded as vectors, and then they also have a similarity score. So when you get the query, it's really easy for you to get in the relevant chunks to the query and give it as a context to the LLM, which could frame it as a complete answer and present it to you. So yep, moving on. The first model, I'd like to start with OpenAI or ChatGPT, and this we did via Hugging Face. So basically, Hugging Face has this. So I did look into a lot of websites wherein I could find like a lot of ways I could find OpenAI API for free. Couldn't, but Hugging Face has two models. One's this, the 20B, that's the smaller model, and the other one's the 120B, which is the bigger one. Probably like I guess 120B is probably like something millions of parameters. This one is close to 7.1 billion parameters. And this is not Chat GPT. This is like the Open AI model. It is basically exist via the Open AI endpoint, and we built a LangChain wrapper called the router chat around this, which basically helps you to use it as a chat GPT. Apart from that, the environment file for this just has an HF key token, which is an API key token, which I used from the Hugging Face models website. And then also on the Streamlit side, it's really simple. What we do is I have a side window which has browse files for your local computer browsing, and then the process button is which takes a lot of time. It takes a bit of time because you'd have to process the files to in order to create the embedding. So say this is a textbook which Harsh used to learn deep learning. I just copied it from him, and this is a really big book, 14 MBs of PDF. I process it, and what you'll see is you'll see timer, and it'll also show which stage it is in terms of processing. And the last stage is creating the vector embeddings. Now, by the time this processes, some important points regarding the ChatGPT is we use runnable with message history, the persistent the that is for the persistent conversation in the Streamlit app. Okay, and also we also used we also store the chat history using the in-memory chat message history, which is basically like the OpenAI library called, which ties your chat history to the particular session that you have, so doesn't lose the context. Also, one more thing worth noting is we set the temperature to 0 and kept the max tokens at 512, I presume. Um, so let me just, yeah, 512. Max tokens are 512, and the temperature being 0 basically means that the model is deterministic and factual. Basically, it has no creative side. It doesn't expand on what you give it as a context. What you give to it as a context. It basically just rewrites it, rephrases everything. Hoping. Okay, yeah. So as you can see, it has like checkpoints. So extracted these characters, created such and such text chunks. We'll wait for this. We'll move on to the open source version. Uh, this app is basically via Grok, which is the open source version. And now this basically we swap out the model for Meta Llama. Uh, and we swap it through Scout 17B, and we run Grok through Hugging Face router as we did in ChatGPT. And it is structurally very similar to ChatGPT in terms of the same router chat, and then the same persistence and the same model context and the same session ID linkage, all of that. The only difference I'd say is that Llama 4 Scout is much larger and much more of a capable model as compared to the ChatGPT. And especially we are running the smaller version, that's the 20B version. We are not even running the full model. So you could expect more answers that are in coherence with the document that you provided. And then the last one is oh, sorry, my bad. This is the open source. This is the Grok version, the Llama Scout 4 version, which I was talking about right now. The open source is basically which runs completely offline. It has no API keys, nothing. It is the basic Google flat TN5, the base model, and it is, I'd say, I mean, like I've no other way to put it. It's really dumb. And it is basically just a sequence to sequence model, meaning it's like an encoder decoder architecture. Basically, it takes the encodings, passes on to the decoder takes it into the it's like a grammatical decoder which takes the chunks, processes it into a sentence, and then spits out the final answer. Uh, what we did is we wrapped it in a custom LangChain LLM called local. I'll show it to you. It's called yeah. This is the wrapper that we have, local sequence to sequence LLM. We wrap the Google yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes, this is the model that we're using, Google Flat T5 base, and download it. We download this along with the weights. Weights is false over here. We're not recompiling the entire model, of course, but we also download the metadata JSON format. So which is basically easier to compile when you're running it locally. Doesn't take a lot of space, especially because this doesn't have a GPU. Um, and then these are the hyperparameters for the LLM, and tokenizer and model I haven't defined specifically because Google had a lot of issues calling the model binary file on its backend, which caused a lot of errors over here. That's why it's just the basic latest deployed version of T5 flat base. And tokens I have reduced to 96 because 512 is really too much for this model. It doesn't I mean, it just spits out one line, doesn't even get the entire context. And another problems that I've seen with Google local sequence to sequence model is it sometimes repeats itself. So basically, the context that we gave it as a wrapper, which I'll show you. Yeah, this had I specifically put into this that oh sorry, I specifically put into the chat template that you shouldn't repeat yourself and you should look into the chunks and all and all. And what it would do most of the times, it would give me the same context that I've given it over here. That's the initial chat prompt. It would just return this, which is of course an error. It's like not even an answer at that point. And then because of that problem, we did add in we did to remove those hallucinations. We did add in like remove repetitions. This is a post processing function. I think I'll have it over here. Remove repetitions. Yes, this is a post processing functions. And what it does is if it repeats any of the sentence that we have given it as a context, we would rather print no answer would be generated. Try rephrasing your question, which is way easier. And this I guess would be really good if given a domain knowledge. This would really work well as a small language model, as a local LLM. I'm not sure. Also, one thing that we added over here is we added uh, ST cache, yeah. So we added ST cache resource, and this was added to cache both the model and the local LLM, which basically improves the speed. So basically, once the model loads into it, you could chat with it really quickly, faster than ChatGPT and Grok, of course. So, bottom line, this is what we did for all the three models. The core structure is kind of same. Because it's a local LM running over here, the size has been decreased and also the context has been increased in terms of what is the wrapper that we give, and some of the functions that we used for post processing, which I haven't used in ChatGPT or Grok. And then another additional, I'd say, visualization for our script is the vector database. So this was basically because this is just me and Harsh, we trying to figure out how do we um, visualize what chunks we have, what's the context, how rich is our database, and how rich are the embeddings created. That is why we built this. This is a really like off the script script, but basically this is a simple Streamlit app just to inspect and debug the FAISS vector store. And basically you could also use this. This is uses the same generic structure which I use for to process the PDFs in the chatbots. The same the same left hand side corner. Uh, yeah. So same thing. You could either browse files and like build and save the vector data store. Also, you could load a saved vector data store. This is basically when you have a session running in the RAM, like in the terminal, and you already have processed certain files. If you want to look at how good the files have been processed, which is what this is actually showing right now. This is one of the loaded vector databases. This is not something that we have processed right now. It would fetch the vector database again and would show it to you. And basically, it also has size distribution, which is just a visualization of what size each chunk is. And then similarity search is basically, so similarity search is what I was saying about the FAISS vector store. Basically, it pre-calculates the similarities between chunks, and this was really easy to implement because of this functionality. Also, mind you, similarity when in like FAISS in terms of similarity is basically like a distance score. So you drag so it is inverse of similarity, the distance score, and the closer distance, the more similar the vectors are, is how similarity is perceived in this sense. Apart from that, we had the HTML template, and that would be it. Just to summarize, I'd pass on the HTML template and some of the changes that we did in terms of Streamlit to Harsh. That is what he was working upon.
So the template Python file just handles the overall visual styling and the interface of the chatbot. So we have two bubbles here, one a user bubble and a bot bubble, which has images and stuff, just styled using CSS and gradient backgrounds, and it has a dark theme. So bot has a green border, and the user has a blue border just to separate and make the charts cleaner. So to wrap up, we built uh, three functional PDF chatbots, which have the same core rack pipeline, which is extraction, chunking, FAIS, vector storage, retrieval, and generation. So the GPT and Llama versions are API based and give better answers, whereas the open source version runs locally and great for like privacy or like offline scenarios. And VectorDB uh, gives us visibility into what is actually in the database, and it helps in debug or like retrieval stuff. So all the steps, the dependencies, and how apps are located in the README file, which is in the GitHub. So thanks for watching. That's the lab.
Yep. Um, Also the requirements I'll just show you really quickly. This is the requirement file, and I'll also show you like a quick working demo of everything. So yep, this is processed, and basically, just ask anything about like explain gradient descent, and with examples from the book. That's how it works. So basically, this is what the book says. Grad, which is a tensor describe, etc., etc., etc. And this is actually from the book. So the book basically has a lot of code in it. Basically, is a hands-on um, guide. I could show you the book as well. Um, uh, or yeah. Sorry, just give me a second. It is in Ubuntu. So home. No, not mine. No, man, I'll show it to you online. Yeah. So this is the book that we are referring to, and this is basically just a lot of code. So even if I do this, so yeah, it just has a lot of random examples and code and all, and this is how it explains in the book, and that is how our chatbot explains as well. We were also asking like how are from SVM. Yep. And that will give you like a proper table, uh, decision trees and SVMs, and this is all from the book. So example is coefficient 2 and this. This is probably from a book example. Also the grok. I'll use I could use our meeting notes, or I could use like the ADS book that the professor provided. Uh, Sorry. Yeah, the ADS cover book, and I could probably ask it if something happened. Yeah. So this processes the PDF. And oh, by the way, also all of this you could like look at up happening in the vector database. I'll give this like a really small document, the meeting notes. So it's really uh, fast to process everything. And if this is really small, the PDS cookbook. Yep, well, this is processing. Yeah, this is how the vectors are being stored. The size distribution is, yep, and this was a built-in Streamlit feature. This is not something that we have implemented, but yeah, looks cool. Also gives you the size breakdown like a table, and then the similarities code that I was talking about is basically if you wanna search, say, Linux. Yeah, will provide you with the top four most relevant chunks and also provide you with a distance score. Greater the distance is lesser similar documents. That's why they have been ranked like that in an increasing order. And yep, this is also so you could also like view the chunk where it specifically says that yeah, oh, also this is not the ADS cookbook. This is basically like a another document that I used to build the vectors, but I could actually build and save like a vector database using this big book. So yeah, by the time this happens, I hope that yeah, this has been processed. Also this has been processed. Oh, this is processing. Sorry. Um, what is the document about and what have we done in this? This is basically the meeting notes for lab 9, I presume. Um, and then yep, this is also ready. So I am a new user. How do I install ADS on Linux? Um, and that is pretty much our working of the uh, uh, LLMs. As I said, this is really bad and doesn't actually fetch anything. Also, the document's really sparse. So, yep. But yeah, this was lab 9 and didn't maybe it answers this. Uh Meanwhile here it doesn't have enough documentation. Okay. Let me just give it another let me just give it like the big PDF. Probably that'll be helpful. Oh yeah, so this is basically how it answers. So what we do in this lab, build three versions of the chatbot. Doesn't have a lot of context, cause the document is sparse, but then also this isn't like a really specific answer, it's just like a generic answer that it provides, especially because encoder decoder and sequence to sequence modeling. That's why. But yep, that was the open source, the Google model that we download offline, and you could actually look it over here. Yeah, as you could see, we download like the entire model, and then mini LM v6, and then what we do is we use that. Uh, Here, on the other hand, is where we, yeah, this is basically the processing of the chunks, and then this is where it predicts. This is, we are not downloading the model, we're just loading the weights in, and uses an API key to communicate. And so, yep, for now, the best model we have had so far is like either one of them, ChatGPT or Grok. They're both really good. And given the vector database, I guess, yeah. So vector database has been built. If you were to search, I'll search something else. Probably support vector machine, and I want like uh, oh shoot. Yep, it is kind of laggy, but yeah, if I want like five searches, um, I'll just ask the same question over here. Oh yeah, this is how it answers. So ChatGPT was like more well structured. This is probably more information dense, kind of hard to read, but it also mentions like key points. So in particular, mention random forests is this and this, another ensemble method based on decision trees. So also provides like additional information. Grok model, ChatGPT is like straight up with the context, doesn't go anywhere. Like it's just like formatting and key points. And yep, so is that search completed. Now, if you see, fundamentals of machine learning is really close to support vector machine. And then, uh, oh yeah, this is one chunk that would have support vector machine somewhere. And then these are the subsequent chunks that we have that filtered out. And if you were to see the size distribution, this is really varied. So yeah. So is it this somewhere around here? If I'm able to, yeah. So chunk index 243, size is 2940, then 1086. It also has tooltips in it, which is kind of handy. And that was pretty much our live demo of the like live working demo of our Lab 9. I hope you liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you very much. That's all.